March was just one of those months where nothing went to plan. I want to start this video by giving a huge special thank you to my top tier Wizard Master patrons. Thank you Ryan, Chris, Nico, Cody, Sharon, Scott, Mike, Patrick, Leslie, Doug, Mindolin, Aaron, Wystitch, Twaney, Spyro, Reading Rainbow, and Chris the Bookaholic. Thank you so much. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and as always guys, I'm Andrew, and today guys, I've got my March 2023 wrap-up here for you. But before we get into that, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel, as it does help us grow, and you can check the description box down below for the link to my Patreon if you want to help support what I do. And guys, like I said in the intro, this month, nothing went to plan. I had a clear, plan and goal, and pretty much I only got, 50% of that done. It's been a crazy month. It's been my birthday month, so, I turned 33. I had Nico in town to celebrate. We met up for drinks with A.R. Witham, author of The Legend of Black Jack. Please check this one out. I'm contractually obligated to say that because he bought me birthday drinks. Not really. This is a fantastic book. AR is a fantastic guy. Great channel. You should check that out as well. Same with Nico. We did some collabs. A lot of fun. But also, I've been incredibly busy getting my house ready for my mother-in-law to come home from the hospital and rehab. So I've been painting and repairing walls and moving in furniture and just doing a whole bunch of stuff with that. So my reading time was a lot less than I thought it was going to be. My mental health has just been all up and down. It's been dreary and rainy for the last 5 days. It's been an interesting month. I do have a birthday book haul coming up. I just want to do a special thank you to you now. If you sent me a book off of the wish list in the description box that I include in every one of my videos, basically if you go to the description box, my Amazon wish list is there. I never expect you guys to send me a book, and I'm always super appreciative when you do. There's nothing better than unexpected book mail. It has the ability to just put a smile on my face. I could be having a bad day, book mail shows up, boom. It's a good day, because it's a book mail day. And yes, so thank you so much to everybody who sent me a birthday gift. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you. So I'll also thank you in the upcoming book haul, but yeah, good stuff. Let's see. Have I talked about everything I wanted to talk about before we jump into the books? Yeah, so it kind of turned into a supernatural month, which is kind of a theme you'll just kind of see. Apparently my brain wanted to celebrate Halloween early. I don't know. Maybe it's because it was wet and dreary. Here in Indiana, usually Halloween is wet and dreary. There's just usually a little bit more leaves on the ground, but, it is what it is. We're going to start off with bad news. Bad news is I did have a DNF, and it's a DNF that I'm really sad about because I was really excited about this series. I've been looking forward to it for over a year now, and it's not that the book is bad. I just don't think this author is quite for me. I think my tastes just don't quite align with their writing style. This was going to be my 4th book by this author, and I've always been fair to middling, and I've just decided to call it. That is Ben Gally's Emaneska. Now, that said, just because this book doesn't work for me doesn't mean it's not going to work for you. So don't let me deter you. I only got about a third of the way through this before I decided to call it. This is big, bombastic, high action, lots of magic, dark themes. It's a good story. I just don't think it's quite for me. We are currently hosting a read-along of Emaneska in the Wizardly Duo Discord. You can find the link of that in the description box down below if you want to join in for that. I just don't think that I will be participating in this one. I just kind of got to be honest with myself and say, not every author is going to be for me, which even though that makes me incredibly sad. But other than that, I don't have a lot of real DNFs this month. I did have one, but then I ended up coming back, getting stubborn, and fighting my way through it, which we'll talk about in a minute, provided I don't forget to talk about it, which happens quite often. Before I forget, I did read, one of my patrons is a huge Dresden fan, and Spyro is absolutely fantastic. I love chatting with him, and he brought to my attention that there was a Mouse Dresden short story where Mouse and Cerberus team up to be the bestest boys. I did read this short story. It was a lot of fun. It maybe took 30 minutes to read. And it kind of got me excited for more Dresden. So I do want to mention that I did read that short story. I don't remember the name of it. I'll pop it right there. But yeah, it was very, very good. And then I finally finished James Clavell's Shogun. And I'm kind of happy I read this, kind of disappointed. Happy because it was a fantastic book. Great character work, great historical fiction. I pretty much loved everything about this book. But there was an expectation that I had because about, 700 pages of this book is leading up to something. And then that something is just done in like a page. And so I wanted more because instead of getting that event, it's more of just philosophizing at the end about the event. And you just get like this quick wrap up, like bam, bam, bam. Like this is 1,100 pages. The epilogue's like a page. And it felt like, the distribution of like events could have been changed a little bit. Like the philosophizing could have been a little bit less, a little bit more action at the end than I was expecting. Didn't get that, but I'm still giving it 5 stars because this is a phenomenal book. I am going to be continuing with the Asian saga. I've currently got Taipan, I've got Gaijin, Noble House, and King Rat on my wish list currently. I just need to get those so that I can then dive in. These are all really big books. But I'm not sad that I read Shogun. I'm just kind of... My expectation for the series wasn't met, and yet it was still good enough to merit 5 stars, which kind of blows my mind because, it was a really good experience. So I'm very glad I took part in that. Before I forget, my new patron tier, they can kind of submit books. And the first one was for this month, and it got selected. And that was The Lesser Dead by Christopher Buehlman. And this was just absolutely... shocking. This is probably what kicked off the supernatural vibe for the month. It's a vampire book set in New York in the 70s, and it's like a day in the life in vampires. Chronicled to you, I should say, not chronological. Chronicled to you, kind of like a journal. And I loved this book. Christopher Buehlman, this is my second Christopher Buehlman book, and I now want to read Between Two Fires because I'm loving everything that I'm reading from Christopher Buehlman. This book was an absolute banger. It's available on audio on the Audible Plus catalog. So make sure to check it out. It's narrated by the man himself. And he just does an absolutely fantastic job. It was so incredibly good. The ending's a bit weird, but it still kind of worked for me. After that, I decided to kind of do some swapping on my TBR because I was feeling supernatural all of a sudden because I read a vampire story. I was like, you know what? Let's do a werewolf story. So I swapped out No Heart for a Thief for Phased by Victoria Tekken, and you might know her as Tori Talks here on YouTube. This is her book, and I love this book. I've got a review for this coming out in a couple days, so you can kind of get my full thoughts on this. This is a YA paranormal fantasy thriller kind of deal with a lot of emotional weight. I loved this. You can definitely look forward to that review where I can share my thoughts with you on that one. And then from there, the Supernatural just kind of kept on rolling. We actually got, 2 more? Yeah, 2 more Supernatural ones where I did David Gemmel's Morningstar. I was just craving David Gemmel, so I picked a David Gemmel standalone at random. Turns out this one's got vampires as well. So, again, the Supernatural theme just rolled on through. This one was probably a 4-star read for me. Kind of a little bit rougher narrative here, just because... How do I talk about this book? It was interesting because you're following kind of a bard-like individual as he's following somebody who doesn't want to be your hero. He's very amoral. It's actually quite shocking, this book. Like, when you meet somebody who's completely amoral, you're just kind of like, oh, this person's, like, crazy. And then, like, they become the chosen one, and, like, they didn't really intend to be the chosen one. They were just lying to everybody. And it's just like, oh, that's really interesting. And then you throw in vampire lords, time travel, high magic, and stuff like that. You've got David Gemmel's Morningstar. It's really good. I don't think it's going to rank up there with my all-time David Gemmel favorites, but I'm not upset that I read this one. Next up, we've got Dead Man in a Ditch by Luke Arnold Fetch Phillips #2. This one is just sharper in pretty much every way from the first book. Again, another 4-star read from here. There was a subplot in here I wasn't a huge fan of. If you want to know what that subplot is, check my the description box down below for the link to my Goodreads review, and you can kind of see what that is. Overall here, Fetch is still investigating deaths and occurrences of magic. Very, very good. And yeah, I'm excited to get to the final book in this one. And then, of course, I rolled right on through with Anthony Ryan, Draconis Memorial #1, Waking Fire. I've been meaning to read this for over a year, and I finally got it done because this is my current patron buddy read. We are currently making our way through Draconis Memorial, and this is probably the most active that chat has been on the Discord for my patrons when we're doing dedicated buddy reads. This is my patron Trin's I think this is one of her, if not her favorite series, and I can see why. I ended up giving this one 4 stars because even though I loved pretty much everything about this book, I love the characters, Hillmore, Clay, and Lizanne. I love the kind of company, corporate politics of corporate running government. I love the kind of frontier and the hunting of dragons for like their blood to use as a magic source. Like these people can drink blood and then they get specific effects. They each do like, different things. Blue for mind, black for force, red for fire, and green for the body, like to heal and move fast and stuff like that. Great stuff. I was just unable to fully like submerge myself in the story. Like at times in huge action moments, I would, be able to just submerge in the story. And then other times I was just kind of surface level of the story, still enjoying the experience, but not really just completely sucked in. It's kind of a complex-ish sort of story. So I think this is one that as I continue the series, this will get a higher rating. Like I'll be able to read book 2 and then it'll evolve and grow book 1 for me, so I can just kind of bump up that rating to maybe a 4.5 or a 5 out of 5, because there could be stuff in here that I just absolutely love. I wanted to do this one on audio. Unfortunately, this is narrated by probably one of my least favorite narrators, Stephen Brand, who I just happen to call Stephen Bland. The man has an amazing voice and zero inflection. And so I'm super sad that there isn't a quality audiobook for this one. This is one I do not advise you do on audio, mainly because it is narrated by Stephen Brand. But other than that, it's a fantastic story. I then continued my buddy read with Kay from Kay's Hidden Shelf. We are still reading the Spokane Clock Tower Mysteries by Patricia Meredith, and this is Cupboards All Bared. I liked this one. It was about a 4.5 or a 5 out of 5. I didn't quite like it as much as the first one because the first one is a lot more shocking, but the reveals and the character growth in this story is still absolutely fantastic. We got a little less food description, so I was a little less hungry while reading this one, but I want to have the muffins that are in this book. Like, I need the muffin recipe, so Patricia, if you're watching this, please give me the muffin recipe. Hell, bring me on your channel and we'll cook muffins. I don't even care. I just want muffins while reading this story. Great period mystery, and I highly recommend you read Patricia Meredith. Speaking of Patricia Meredith, I am currently doing a beta read for her as well, but we're going to kind of be mum's the word on that for right now. And then, let's see, what do I want to talk about next? So I was just feeling kind of wily, and I needed something. Like, I had, just DNF'd the written. I tried reaching for Dark Theory by Wick Welker, and I was like, you know what, I'm not feeling sci-fi right now, so if I try and force this, I'm not going to enjoy this experience. I need to be in the mood for sci-fi when I reach for sci-fi, and I realized that very quickly. Like, I didn't get 30% into the book and be like, this is terrible. I got 10 pages in, I was like, you know what, sci-fi's not for me right now. So I reached for historical fiction, and this is a birthday gift that was sent to me by Tori from Tori Talks. And she sent me all 5 books in the kind of, what is this one called? Is this The Conquerors or the Khan Dynasty? It says the epic story of the Khan Dynasty. I forget what the name of this one is. There's 2 really big Khan Engleton series, and I constantly get them mixed up. This one follows the rise of Genghis Khan. Is it Genghis or Genghis? I don't know, because I've heard it pronounced Genghis, and then I've always said Genghis Khan, so I don't actually know. I gave this one 4 stars, mainly because there is some questionable character work that goes on in here. Basically, we do a lot of time jumps, and there's nothing to really explain the shift in certain characters' attitudes between time jumps. Specifically, the love interest in this story, basically when we meet her, she's kind of young, and she's scrappy, and she's knobby, and she's snotty, and she didn't want anything to do with boys. And then we time jump, and all of a sudden, she's just like, boys! And it's just like, okay, so, you can make the argument that puberty, does that to everybody. But she was quite adamant on the way it was portrayed within the story. And then we kind of do this time jump, and she's just a different person. And then some characters will be really strong early on, and then they just fade into obscurity. So overall, the character work could have used, I would say secondary character work could have used a little bit more work. But when we're actually following the rise of Temujin and how he kind of rises to his acclaim, this story is amazing. So yeah, I can't wait to continue. And I still give it 4 stars because it was still really compelling and really good. I really love Mongol fantasy. And then we got 2 more books that I've currently read. Have I missed anything? Yes. So I need to mention that I got about 30% of the way through Storm of Swords. And then I got to a chapter where it was just Tyrion going into it with his father, and I just kind of lost steam. It's not that I thought the book was bad. It was not like I wasn't enjoying the story. I just decided, you know what? Like, I'm not in the mood for this right now. And so I went full on mood read at that point. So currently, Storm of Swords has been shelved. I will come back to it because I do love A Song of Ice and Fire. I am a Song of Ice and Fire convert. Just at the time, I wasn't in the mood for it. Let me make sure I haven't forgotten anything. I did. Again, I'm all over the place today, guys. I am so sorry. I read Beyond Redemption by Michael R. Fletcher. I got about 60% into this book, and I DNF'd it for about 10 hours. And then I couldn't leave it, and I went back, and I finished it. And I gave it about 3.5 out of 5. And the reason I say it's a 3.5 out of 5 is it's a really interesting world. It's incredible magic system. It's got some really great themes, but it also gets a hair repetitive. Essentially, the trick is in the name. The series is called Manifest Delusions, and basically, it's mental illness manifests as magical power, and so these people are able to manifest their delusions and be powerful. But in order to be delusional, you have to be crazy. And, like, crazy people can only do so much messed up stuff before it kind of just gets repetitive and you're no longer surprised that, oh, they stabbed him in their sleep, or, oh, they've knifed somebody again for no reason, or, oh, this person kicked a cat just because they wanted to. And so it kind of ground me down to the point where nothing they did surprised me anymore. But I still wanted to come back and finish this story. There were a couple laugh out loud moments with this book. Mainly because, like, there's just earlier on when you're, like, dealing with these people's crazy, because all of your POVs are out of their mind. And so when you're dealing with some of it, it's hilarious. If you've got a bit of dark humor. There's a lot of dark humor in this book. But, like, they constantly reuse the same insults and stuff like that. So it gets a 3 out of 5. I didn't quite understand the ending. So I'm going to physically reread the ending of that book because I did it on audio to see if it makes a little bit more sense to me. Editing Andrew here. So I got this book physically already. I reread the last chapter, and that helped clear up a lot of my confusion. It just might have been something that was lost in translation with the audio. So with the ending being more cleared for me, I'm going to put this at a 4 out of 5. I am going to raise my rating. Just that last chapter happens very quickly and takes on a nice twist. So I'm very excited for the sequel of Beyond Redemption. Back to the video. And then I also read Larry Correa's The Saga of the Forgotten Warrior, House of Assassins, Book 2. And this is another probably 3.5 to 4 out of 5 read for me. Essentially, like, something happens at the end of Book 1, and we kind of spend the entirety of this book just going to resolve that issue. This felt like this didn't need to be 400 pages. It just kind of felt like stretching out something that could have probably been 150 pages. Honestly, like, you get more machinations, you get more, more stuff. There is a really cool end scene. Like, the back of this book is amazing. But overall, I don't feel like this book did anything to really grow the series in any significant amount of way. So I'm going to keep reading this series. I've got book 3 slated, I think, for next month. And we'll just kind of see what happens. And then finally, what I've completed as of now is Palmer Pickering's Heliotrope. I have got a review for this one coming out in April as well. And guys, this one is beefy. It's full of a lot of great character work and story. It's a little heavy on the detail. So if you don't want to get bogged down in like all of the scenery and stuff like that, that is here. I know that there is now an audiobook for this as well. So for my people who want to know if a self-pub book has audio, it just dropped within the last couple of weeks. Telio is probably one of the best characters I've read in a long time. He's an older protagonist. He's been through the wars. He's experienced a lot of loss, and he's trying to heal. There's a great found family here. This is a slow-paced, high-detail, fantastic story with an inventive and creative magic system. I gave this one about a 4.5 out of 5, even though it was a bit on the heavy on the detail. I still really love the character work, and I loved the story. I just loved how awesome and understated Telio is. Like, he's like, yeah, I'm cool. Yeah, I'm powerful. I don't feel the need to brag about it. I'm just going to go do what needs to be done and move on. Fantastic work. And the way the book starts is amazing. Palmer knocked it out of the park with this one. I want more. Now, at the time of recording, it is the 26th of March. Obviously, the month is not over. So I still need to read Shadowfane, Cycle of Fire, and then I'm going to do a Why You Should Read on Cycle of Fire, so keep an eye out for that. I've been loving this trilogy. I would love to have Janie Wertz here on the channel for an author interview. Let me know in the comments down below if that is something that you want. And then I received this nice TBR record. We have got No Port in a Storm by Cal Black. And my socks got knocked off. There's a blurb here from me on the back for book 1, No Land for Heroes, which was just an absolute amazing fantasy western. So this is what I'm starting tonight as a beta read for Patricia Meredith. Guys, that's really all I've got for you this month. I've had ups, downs, all over the place this month, but I got some books read. Let me know how your month went in the comments section down below, and we can have a good old conversation about it. That's all I really got for you this month. So till next time, peace out, stay magical, bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons.